name is Renee Rowe, and I'm the co-executive director of Unifour One. Unifour One is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that's been around since 2001. One of the things we do is we work with youth that are involved in the juvenile justice system. They are court-ordered to participate in our programs. So we do mentoring for kids, vocational training, life skills. I teach parenting classes. We have tutoring. And because of COVID-19, everything that we're doing is online right now. Everything we're doing is virtual. But we also work in civic engagement, meaning we work all over the state of North Carolina. And one thing we like to do is we want to make sure that people of color, Black and brown people, are registered to vote, and they're voting. Because a lot of people don't realize if you skip an election, you could be purged from the voter rolls here in North Carolina. So that's why we do a lot of outreach, a lot of education, making sure that our people are registered to vote. We don't care who you vote for. We just want you to vote for the best candidate that meets your interests, that has your best interest at heart, your family's interest at heart, and do not vote your own oppression. So we like to educate our constituency on the issues that are plaguing North Carolinians, as well as all over the United States. Well, in 2001, I worked with one of our founders named Billy Sutter. Billy has since passed away about 4 years ago. And Billy came to me and he said, I want to start a nonprofit organization because some people feel like they're not being represented well in the Unifour area. And where we got the name from, the Unifour area, was Burke, Caldwell, Catawba, and Alexander counties of North Carolina. And they call that the Unifour. Well, they felt like they weren't getting enough attention, or a lot of their issues weren't being met by the NAACP. And we were that organization that kind of filled in the gaps at that time. And during that time, he came to me and said, hey, I'm gonna start this organization. And he asked me to write the charter for it. And I said, I'll do that, but I'll never work there. Well, here I am, about 13 years later, still working with the organization. So I was like, I don't want to do that, because I was working those larger nonprofit organizations like Goodwill Industries. So I was like the disability employment coordinator, and I had worked in the prison system for like 10 years as a cognitive behavior intervention instructor. So when I knew that we were going to represent people of color, and one thing the organization started was working with kids that were unjustly suspended from school. True story I'm here to tell you. At Fred T. Ford High School, I can name the school, several years ago, there were two students. One was Black, one was white. They were in a relationship. There were two males that were in a same-sex relationship. They were caught kissing in the boys' bathroom. The African-American student was suspended for 10 days. The white student was never suspended. This was not going to work for us. So we started going to meetings, organizing around those issues, because we had so many Black students that were being unjustly suspended, especially in the Unifour area. And throughout that, we started getting a lot of traction. So we worked on death penalty cases in North Carolina. We worked on, like I said, suspensions, harsher sentencing, over policing, and a lot of the isms that are happening in North Carolina. So we have over policing here in North Carolina. We have over policing all over North Carolina. We've had several innocent Black men that were killed in North Carolina. So we work around a lot of those things. I'm focusing on systemic racism because it really does exist. So in saying this, so the organization continued to get traction. And my husband and Billy Sutter, one of our original founders, is my husband's godfather. So he asked us, Billy was an older gentleman. He asked us to come in and rebuild the organization. When he asked me to come in, there was $264 in the bank. And I was like, how are we gonna do this? So I quit my job at a large nonprofit making a lot of money. And I said, I can do this. I was scared to death. Lord have mercy. I said, I got this. And when I remember writing the first grant, and we got that grant, we didn't have the best board members. They're like, well, what are you going to do with that? Or, and so we restructured the entire organization, and my husband and I took the organization over in 2008, 2009. And here we are. It was just, at that time, it was myself, my husband, and one other volunteer. Now there's myself, my husband, a very nice board, and 33 staff members. So we were able to rebuild the organization, and we have staff all over North Carolina. We have staff in Charlotte, the Hickory area, Morganton, where I'm from, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, Durham. So we do have staff all over. And so we've been able to just really do a lot with the organization. So we're proud of where we are. A lot of literally blood, sweat, and tears. Like, how am I going to eat next week? How am I going to pay my kids' college tuition? How is this going to work? So it has really paid off. It was worth it. It has been worth it. Yes, and we love that program. That program is my baby. And one thing, when I worked in the prison system, I remember one of the inmates coming up to me, and he said, "Miss Renee, I love what you do, but we need you out there so we don't end up in here. So when you work with us, we're already here. We need you to prevent us from coming here." And he said, "Will you make me that promise?" And I made that promise to him. It was probably around 2004. And I promised him that I was going to do this. And dang it, I did it. So far, and with that program, we've served probably around 4,000 youth. But like I said, most of them are court ordered, so to be in our programs. And we've had kids that are gang affiliated, heavily gang affiliated. We've had kids that have gone on to YDC and then the adult correction system. We have kids that have said, enough is enough, Miss Renee. I have kids in college right now. I've got kids at North Carolina Central. I've got kids Winston-Salem State, kids at A&T, kids that people threw away, but they are doing great. And we track them forever. Because of COVID-19, we're still providing services, but we do everything virtually now. And they're showing up for their sessions. We have mentors all around North Carolina. Yes, we have mentors. We're always looking for male and female mentors of color. Relationships to me are holistic. You have to start at the root, and then you have to build out like a tree. So when you start with, if I have a kid that I'm working with in the juvenile justice system, what caused them to get here? Have they experienced childhood trauma? You have to start looking at mama, grandma, dad. Is dad in the home? Is mom in the home? So you have to look at the overall picture, and you have to start working with the parents as well as working with the kids. Little Johnny's not going to do good in school if little Johnny doesn't have food and lights to come home to. Those are true stories. And what we do is we also try to help the parents get employment. We provide them with community resources to get those things in place so their families can thrive. So we look at the overall picture. So like I said, relationships to me are holistic. You have to start at the root and then grow yourself. Because, if there's one thing that's out of place, that tree's not going to grow straight. It's going to kind of grow crooked. So you have to make sure everything is in place. And what we do is we come in, we have real conversation with the kids. We build great rapport with them. We let them know, hey, I'm not here to turn you in. We're not a punitive program. And the same is for our voter registration program. I'm not here to get any of your information. I don't need anything personal from you. I just want to make sure you're taking care of you. And how we take care of ourselves is to have a voice. And so that to let the kids know, everybody know, we have a voice. And your voice needs to be heard. If you're one of those people that doesn't, you don't think you possess leadership skills, you go to that voting, those voting polls, you get to that ballot, you put that ballot in, you got leadership skills. So those are things that are important, and you let people know the power that they possess. We all have power. We just have to know how to use it. So working with anybody, you just have to give them, you have to turn that light bulb on and let them know, hey, you have power to change anything in your life. You just have to want the change. And that's the way we have to, that's what we instill in our youth. That's what we instill when we're doing site-based voter registration in front of a grocery store, or if we're doing it, if I'm sending text messages to a person's phone, asking them if they're registered to vote, are they gonna vote? Is to let them know, hey, you have power. Go ahead and cuss me out. I'm gonna respond nicely, but you have power. One of the things that we do is we make sure that everybody that is registered, that they do get out to vote. We provide rides to the polls. We fed the community during when we had the tornadoes here in Greensboro. We fed 8,000 families that were affected. We worked on Hurricane Florence. Oh goodness, down at the coast. We're there, and I literally have taken money out of my own pocket, out of my own family's budget, and I will buy meals for people. And a lot of my staff will do the same. And I'll just ask them, I said, you don't have to go out and buy these people a 5-course meal. You can go out and buy some sandwich meat and some bread, and we can take it to somebody that they may not have these things. So we do a lot of community outreach calls, especially now during COVID-19. Families have lost their jobs, and so we just make sure that everybody's good. We've helped people find daycare. Wow, we work on issues like student loans and Medicaid expansion. So we do a lot here at Unifour One, and we don't have the largest staff, but we've been able to grow a lot. But we work on things that plague our communities. So we make sure that our people are good. So it's easy to contact us. They can reach out to us on Facebook, we're Unifour One. They can reach out to us on Instagram, we're Unifour One. They can reach us out on Twitter, we're Unifour One. So they can call our office. We have a website. It's the source, got to put those HTTPs, those colon/slashes out there for a lot of people don't know. Or it's unifooroc.org. It's UNIF as in Frank, OUROC.org. They can reach out to us on the website. All the phone numbers are there. We're not hard to find. But like I said, we're on every social media outlet. So if anybody wants to mentor, volunteer, I hire and I pay my staff a nice livable wage. And that's some of the things that we worked on. We make, some of the campaigns you see as organizations are asking some of those larger corporate organizations or larger corporate businesses that they need to pay their employees a livable wage of $15 an hour. Well, we pay our employees over that, what we would ask other people to pay. So I'm hiring a lot of times. I've hired people that were interns. I have interns from UNCG, Winston-Salem State, A&T. I've hired interns. A lot of them work for us. I have students that work for me now that go to A&T. So you'll be surprised at things you can, you'll find out if you just come volunteer. I've hired several volunteers. I want everybody to really think about the kids that are in your neighborhood or your families. Are those kids good? You'd be surprised how many kids in North Carolina are gang related and the things that they do. And if you're not paying close attention, it's so easy for them to get in these gangs. I've had a few kids in our programs that I was close to, and they were murdered by other gang members. And that's the hard part of my job, when I get a phone call that a 16-year-old kid has been murdered, or a 16-year-old kid has been murdered and thrown out the car and left in the middle of the road by himself with his other friends. We're not here to tell kids to get out the gang. We're here to tell kids that there are alternatives to gang activity. That is something that is really near and dear to my heart. There are other things that you can be doing. Right now, we're in the middle of a crisis. We see Black Lives Matter. We have so many different movements that are out there. I want people to take time and just look at the kids that are in your community and reach out to them. I'm asking gang members, and you guys will go out and you'll shoot and hurt each other, but how about joining the Black Lives Matter movement? How about doing something positive for our community? How about taking a stand against systemic racism? We don't need to fight each other. We need to band together to let them know our lives matter, because if we keep treating each other like our lives don't matter, other people are not going to respect our lives. And that is something that is important. I need the community to look at that. I need everybody to look around and see these kids that are walking around the streets by themselves and ask them, are you okay? Can I get you something? How about I take you to sit down and have an ice cream or have a drink of tea or something? These kids need somebody. They're desperate right now. And because we don't, they're out of school right now, a lot of them are going to school virtually. We need to do a gut check with ourselves to make sure that we're good. These kids aren't good. They're not, and they need us. Sometimes they just need us to say hello. I have kids in my program that I literally walked up to and hugged, and one of the kids told me, he was 16 years old, he said, Miss Renee, no one has ever hugged me in my entire life. Do you know how that made me feel? He didn't even know what to do with his arms. He was like, he asked me, am I supposed to put my arms back around you? Am I supposed to keep them? He didn't know. No one had ever hugged him, and he was 16. So this is traumatizing. And you ask permission to hug somebody. You don't go and hug them. I was like, can I give you a hug? And he was like scared to death. He was like, I guess. And it never happened. That was the first hug he ever had. And every time he sees me, he said, Miss Renee, can I give you a hug? And now, because of social distancing, I can't hug him, but I can air hug him. We can air hug. But that's what I need people to realize, that we're not always good. And we need to quit judging these kids and thinking that they're up to no good. Because they could be up to just trying to find some food that day. Or they could just be up to trying to find something to do because there's nothing to do. So that's very important. And we also, in North Carolina, 16 and 17-year-olds can pre-register to vote. And that's one thing we tell these kids. You can pre-register to vote. Be civically engaged. You can be active. You can't vote yet, but heck, you're on the voter rolls. So those what people need to know. My name is Renee Rowe, and I'm with Unifour One, and I am building positive relationships.